Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Move podcast, brought to you each and every day by Ventum bikes that are designed, tested, and assembled in North America and delivered directly to your door. Special offer for our listeners, 10% off when you use the code WEDO at checkout. And if the bike doesn't get there within 3 weeks, you get an additional 10% off. They do have inventory in store. I love them. Head on over to ventumracing.com/themove. I got both the NS1 and the GS1. And as we've been talking about for the first week here, we're selecting a few days of the week. We're selecting a rider of the day that tags at Ventum Racing and at WeDo.team on Instagram. Today, we got Daniel_CGB. Living and working in the center of a major city like London, I'm constantly craving nature, and a bicycle is my round-trip ticket to the countryside as often as possible. As a kid, I grew up riding in a small town beside the lake through orchards. Orchards. We didn't have orchards in Plano. I'm sorry. And amongst the streets and pathways, mostly on gravel. Having two wheels is a ticket to endless discovery wherever you are. I've always loved to ride, and nothing has changed. Daniel, thanks for sending that in.
Let's not forget, too, the founder and CEO, Dia, a good friend of ours, is also a big-time cyclist. I think he's coming to Aspen and ride with us, so it's kind of cool that he plays a big part in designing these bikes and rides them all over the world.
Yeah, Dia's the man. All right, talking about Stage 6, a lot to talk about, JB. This is...
It lived up to the hype. We were all thinking about cobbles and then the mountain stage tomorrow. This was brutal.
We touched on it yesterday. I thought this was going to be a brutal day. It was the longest stage of the tour. It was very lumpy at the end. Now, the things we didn't or couldn't have anticipated are just the extreme pace. I mean, Wout Van Aert, I don't know what this cat has for breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, but over 8,000 feet of climbing, 52 kilometers an hour average for the first, I think, 100 kilometers. And everybody, not only the desk right here, is scratching their heads going, wait, what? Why is the yellow jersey attacking from the gun? You see this in a lot of, amateur races or junior races for that matter, but I don't know. Did he woke up angry or what after what happened yesterday? But we were all shocked to wake up this morning seeing him in the breakaway.
I mean, you said it. I mean, it is kind of an amateur move. However, we're talking about Wout Van Aert. Nobody has the guts to call this guy an amateur or that this was an amateur move. He just kind of toys with the peloton and does what he wants. Now, it didn't work out for him. My personal opinion, he's the kind of rider, had the legs, certainly had the motivation that could have won the stage. And maybe he didn't. Maybe he wanted to get rid of yellow and said, okay, I'm going to have a little fun here and stress these guys out.
He might even be a little bit more pissed off because, one, you can look at a couple different reasons why he would go. Put a little bit more pressure on UAE. But for some reason, there was 4 or 5 teams chasing him down. Alpecin Phoenix, EF, obviously, for try to get the yellow jersey for Nielsen Palace. Bora, trying to keep, I guess, their guy Vlasov up in the overall. Obviously, Fulsang was up there, who's a podium threat, so we can see why all these teams collaborated. But perhaps Wout Van Aert, when he got away, wasn't thinking, I'm going to have 4 or 5 teams chasing me down the whole day.
Yeah. He was a GC threat 10 years ago, but...
he just got third in Tour of Switzerland.
That's not the Tour de France. It's very different. We're going to break down the sprint and the rest of the stage. Before we do that, today's show also brought to you by Roca. Rob and his crew down in Austin are just designing incredible eyewear. I think they're the best eyewear out there, not just on the sunglass side, but the prescription side. We're all rocking. You got... JB's got his readers. Or you have glasses.
We're all matching. JB. We got to start mixing it up a little bit.
We'll mix it up a little bit.
I got a new pair on the way in black.
You got black coming. Great. Unbelievably lightweight. You literally forget that you're wearing them. They never slip, no matter how sweaty you get, which, of course, I get very sweaty. And they look totally badass. And these guys and gals down there, I love it. If you follow their socials, they totally push themselves. It's all about pushing the body to the limits and designing equipment that can support it. So for our listeners, special offer, 20% off. Just go to Roca, ROKA.com. That's ROKA.com. Enter the code THEMOVE for 20% off. Speaking of sweating, today's show also brought to you by Element. This is our go-to hydration source. George and I are about to get off the show here in a little while. Going to go for a long ride. We're going to be loaded up on Element.
How long are we going to ride for?
I'm thinking 2 or 4 hours.
Mr. Freshy Pants hasn't ridden his bike in 4 days.
I haven't ridden it in a couple days. I was in serious recover mode from the 4th of July. That was then. This is now. Okay?
I'm going to remind people 3-4 hours starting at 8,000 feet.
Right. On the mountain bike. Probably might be a true 4,000 vert. Anyways, back to element. 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium. It's highly, I just can't say it enough. It's highly effective. No sugar, no gluten, no artificial BS. It is the real deal. Special offer for our listeners. If you head on over to drinklmnt.com/themove, you're going to get your free gift, which is a free sample pack so you can try all the different flavors, figure out which one you like, dial it in, and solve your hydration issues. That's drinklmnt.com/themove. We got a bunch of storylines today, and one that I just want to put a pin in because I said it yesterday. I want to say it again. This first week it has been very hard. You just see it. You see it in their face. So what does that mean? That means, yes, it was hard. Yes, the second week, of course, is going to be harder. That means the third week is going to be diabolical.
Absolutely. I mean, the amount of action we've seen in the last since the beginning, starting with the prologue, essentially a time trial. These guys have not had one easy day yet, and they're starting stage 7 tomorrow with the first mountaintop finish. There is some tired legs out there, guaranteed.
Yeah. I don't think we're done talking about Wout Van Aert. Do you guys have more speculation on what was his objective today?
I only have one other piece, and I was just thinking about this when I said what I was saying earlier. Look, there's two teams. Well, sorry, let me back up. There's 3 teams in this race, and we will talk about Ineos because they have found themselves in a pretty good position if they have the guys that can compete for the GC. Let's just call it 3 teams for the GC. But there's really 2 big ones, right? There's Jumbo-Visma and there's UAE. The only thing I can think is that that they wanted to put them on the limit. UAE, it looks in trouble to me. Obviously, Brandon McNulty, a few other guys, great. We saw Mark Hirschi finish last today. This is a guy that Tadej Pogacar needs in the mountains. He finished 15 and a half minutes down.
Yeah.
So maybe there was a play there. I mean, we're not in the team car. We're not listening to race radio. Don't want to speculate, but that.
You're also forgetting about Ineos, who's got, as you mentioned today, they have 4 guys in their first group today.
Right. 4 guys in the top 8 on GC.
Former Tour de France champion with Geraint Thomas, 4th place also with Adam Yates. So we have those 3 big teams. I feel like UAE, yes, they looked a little bit like they were struggling this first week. Pogacar was always on his own. Today you saw them; they were better. And now they're hitting their terrain. I feel like they just needed to get through this first week with all the chaos, the crashes, the cobblestones, and they did that and have the yellow jersey. So now I feel like we're going to see a lot more of them.
I don't want to go. Okay, let's stay on it for a second because we do need to show this sprint with Pogacar, who was a man amongst boys. But just walk this thing back. Mark Hirschi was a last-minute substitution for Trentin, who was supposed to be there to support Pogacar in the first week. He wasn't there. He needed him. I mean, obviously, this kid's so good, he got through. And then you throw in Hirschi, he's in trouble.
Bennett's in trouble.
Yeah. So.
But they got an amazing McNulty, an amazing Micah. Soler is going to start, shining, I believe, in the mountains. And they're essentially in the same exact position they were in last year. I believe Pogacar got the jersey in stage 7 or 8 last year. They held on to it the whole time. I feel like for us as fans and viewers, we don't want to see that. I would like to get somebody else to get the yellow jersey and control the race.
Stop.
I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
Stop. Listen.
Especially with tomorrow's stage.
Stop with this. This is the kind of shit you said.
Hey, Johan would have done it.
To 05.
Johan would have done it.
Give me the jersey. I'm the best guy. You guys just suck it up and let's work hard. We're not giving some Panacook in the jersey.
Excuse me? Wait. Excuse me?
I mean,
what happened between 99 and 2005? How many times did we give away the jersey? We gave 30 minutes to some French guy. And we gave the jersey to so many people.
And I hated every second of it.
Okay, but it happens.
You would have rather stayed
tactical, strategic decision.
No Panacook is in yellow.
We did it all the time.
Let's look at the sprint because Pogacar was too impressive. And check out this lead out from Brandon McNulty. So here the French rider gets caught. He actually made a hell of a move. Looked like he was, George, you made a good point. Looked like he was from the area. Look at McNulty. Then Roglic comes around. Maybe a little Slovenian help here. Pogacar not even breathing hard at this point. And keep in mind, see the guy in the blue and white behind him? That's Michael Matthews. That's one of the fastest guys in the peloton.
Yeah.
And he simply rides away. See ya in the douches.
Yeah, so that was a bit of a tactical error by Michael Matthews. They wanted him on Pogacar's wheel. They told him it needed to be on Pogacar's wheel for that sprint, although even if he was on his wheel, I don't think he would have beaten him. But a couple more things we need to point out. Roglic, after his crash yesterday, do we have that picture? Let's put that up. So look at this. I mean, he is on the deck crazy hard. That is no fun. I can guarantee it. Got dropped in the beginning of the stage today, which we haven't pointed out. So he's clearly having a bad day, struggling from the crash, and still has the confidence to go at 250 meters to go on what was the first uphill finish of the Tour de France. I'm liking what I'm seeing. I know you weren't liking it so much this morning. You were kind of hating on it, but I want a good Roglic because this will make this Tour de France that much more exciting with a good Roglic and a good Vingegaard, which we've been saying it wrong all week.
We need to address that.
We want these two guys hauling ass and giving Pogacar a big battle, so it's going to make it very, very exciting.
I feel like I'm being attacked here. I'm actually a massive
coming
fan.
After you, baby. 2022, I'm coming after you daily.
I'm a massive fan of Primož Roglic. I'm just saying he has lost time. It is going to, all of this stuff adds up. The time loss, the what this does to the body. Now, yes, he looked better at the end of the stage. He's still got the time loss. I saw him carrying bottles today for the team.
He's got the time loss, but I feel like a day like today, he needed the confidence. Unfortunately, we all know day 2 after a crash is usually the worst day, and tomorrow's finish is a very, very tough day. I just hope he gets through tomorrow, doesn't lose any more time, because I really would like to see him battling out at his best with the team. I mean, look what happened today. Of course, we're scratching our heads on the tactic of Wout Van Aert, the tactic of the team. How is Wout Van Aert attacking while Roglic is struggling? But this team is clearly the strongest in the race right now. Even with all that's happening, you got Thies Benoot leading out, Vingegaard there at the end. These guys have this crazy confidence and still almost going for the win with Roglic at the finish line. So this team is strong, and they need to keep relying on their strength of their team if they want to do some damage to UAE.
Yeah, no, both of that's their only hope. The problem is the kid, we're talking about Pogacar, is that good. I mean, he could.
If he doesn't have a team between Ineos and Jumbo, like attack. But he can answer whatever he wants.
They have to send it so early.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you wait till the last climb, he's going to find the wheels. He's going to keep you within, a reasonable distance. And then he's just going to ride up to you and ride away. And
he essentially made it through this first week without much help from his team. You saw him always floating on his own there. And he's in the yellow jersey.
And we do have our first sort of quote unquote big mountain day tomorrow. The Saturday and Sunday stages, sleepers.
Yeah.
So, they're going to have to hope to stay close, wait to the Pyrenees, and then send it from way out, put the team under pressure. Then he can't do it by himself.
Yeah. Didn't we have conversations at one point where that whole Sky era, it was just control, attack on the last bit of the last climb?
Yeah, I don't know where anybody ever got that tactic.
But that playbook needs to go out the window.
Well, it'll be interesting.
We have too many. Nobody's gonna like us, man. Oh man, 7 of 48 guys here. We're gonna be so unpopular.
He was being nice for a little bit.
You know what? Fuck these guys.
Hey, wait, we've got to address I've been saying Vingegaard. You've been saying Vingegaard. What have you been saying?
I say Vingegaard.
So we have a listener, Casper, who's going to correct. This is what we rely on you guys. So roll that clip.
Gentlemen, this is Casper from Denmark. The right pronunciation is Vingegaard.
Oh shit!
Vingegaard. Jonas Vingegaard.
That's what I was saying.
George is the closest.
Yeah,
George wins by a technicality because he's the closest.
It is the closest, but it just rolls a little faster. Vingegaard.
So I get a couple bonus points on all of our little voting things.
Let me ask all the Danish listeners. I mean, because I see an R and a D. What happened to that?
They'll have to writing.
Vingegaard. So just drop the R and the D. Like those are pretty hard letters.
Wait, roll that clip one more time. You got it. It's got it.
The right pronunciation is Vingegaard. Vingegaard. Jonas Vingegaard.
See, this is why I don't move. Never even consider moving to places like that and having to. Of course, they all speak English too, but Imagine trying to learn that language.
Don't say things like that. I mean, they love you in Denmark.
No, I love them nice too. Things. I'm just saying I could never communicate.
How about visiting or something like that?
Yeah, we're gonna go visit Scandinavia this summer.
Okay.
85% of them speak English fluently.
Love it.
It's just
okay, man.
Speaking of English, we got to shout out the American riders in this year's Tour de France.
Yes.
I mean, what a performance we're having today. Quinn Simmons, let's be real here, guys. This was no panic cooking breakaway, even though we were scratching our heads of who's in there. This was the strong man breakaway. They got away early on the climbs. Quinn Simmons, of course, he started cracking at the end, but amazing for him to be there. Youngest guy in the Tour de France.
21 years old.
We got Nielsen Powell fighting till the very last 100 meters to get the yellow jersey in the Tour de France. After yesterday's stage, when he's away the whole entire day, I told you, he's got to have tired legs, but he's still there. An amazing performance by him. And then, of course, Brandon McNulty, who did an amazing lead out, kept Pogacar in the front, pulled up from basically 1 kilometer to 300 meters to go. And we haven't even seen Sepp Kuss hit his terrain yet. So I'm feeling really good about the performances of the Americans in this year's race.
Unfortunately, he hit some terrain today when that was pretty wild when a few of those guys went off the side of the road. But and Brandon McNulty had, I think, one of the, it was a low-key interview, but I loved his line. He was cooling down after the race, and they asked him, well, okay, tomorrow's the first uphill finish, first big mountain stage. What's Pogacar going to do? And he says, he probably wants to win. The guy's like, you don't want to just give the jersey away. He goes, nah, he doesn't like to lose stages like that.
Not only that, he's got confidence. He's the one who mentioned last year we got the jersey, similar point in the race. We held on to it. We got an even better team this year, according to him. So he's got the confidence. And from that interview, it doesn't look like they're that excited to give away the jersey.
Right. No. They better hope this team comes around then. It'll be a long 2-ish weeks. But just real quick on Quinn Simmons and Nielsen Powell's. Quinn Simmons is a real deal. I mean, what we saw today is the kid's 21 years old. And just because I think sometimes our listeners get confused by sort of one-day riders, stage winners, GC riders. I don't see Quinn Simmons, obviously, as a GC rider. But if you're a fan of the classics, whether it's Tour of Flanders, Paris-Roubaix, stages in the Tour, stages in any race, the World Championships on a perfect course, this kid is here to stay. I mean, we will see this kid at the front of these bike races for 10 years. Nielsen Powell, the thing that stands out for me is stayed up there today. Who'd have thought that this is a climber in effect, right? Makes the breakaway on the cobbled stage, almost gets the yellow jersey. We won't even go down the rabbit hole of how easily he could have had the yellow jersey with perhaps on a different team, and then stays in the front of the race today. I mean, yesterday's stage for a climber was a beast of a day, and to stay in there, he commented at the end of the stage his legs were a little fried. Yeah, they should be, but badass ride to stay up there today.
So going like today's finish, okay, it was hard, definitely very hard, but it was more of like a less than a Liège type finish. Okay. And this is an indication of how hard this Tour de France has been up to now. Stage 6, we've only had 24 guys in the first group and not a real mountain day. Just 1 kilometer climb before the finish. A couple climbs obviously rolling, but typically in a day like this, you'd see 40, 50 guys at the finish line. And now we're seeing 20 something guys because of how hard the race has been leading up to today's stage.
The other two that stuck out to me were Nairo Quintana and Vlasov.
And our podium finish in Paris is looking a lot more questionable than our preview show.
Oh, I don't think I think it's pretty clear, in my opinion, who's going to win the bike race.
Yeah.
I hate to even say that after day 6, but the Pogacar is that good. Second and third, if that matters to anybody else, anybody in the race listening, it's wide open. So put your hand up.
So you got to point out too, Nairo Quintana got 5th on the stage today.
Yeah,
one of the best climbers in the entire world, sprinting against Bling Matthews, who's obviously a clear sprinter. But this was just essentially a mountain finish. I mean, that's how hard it was leading up to those last climbs, which is pretty incredible to see.
Yeah. Before we go on, today's show also brought to you by Athletic Greens. I believe on the drive down to the studio, did you tell me you doubled up on your Athletic Greens this morning?
Well, I actually said I'm doubling up on the AG, and you were. I don't know if you hadn't had any coffee yet, and you're like, "What's that, bro?" Well,
no, I've had so much litigation in my life. I didn't know if you were talking about the Attorney General, so I nearly kicked you out of the car. But you were talking about Athletic Greens.
Yes.
This is a game changer for anybody that wants to start their day off right, especially if you're like me and sort of aren't optimized on the other parts of your diet. 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens, all for less than $3 a day. It's a complete game changer. Bottom line, take control of your health. Let's make it easy. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is go over to athleticgreens.com/themove.
I will mention this. George likes Athletic Greens so much, he's eating our show props.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it's not here.
Doubling it up. I hit it twice in the morning now.
I have noticed that the box right here is getting a little lighter. Last one of the day, new one for us. And I've met with the two founders of this company, a company called Attitude. So they own a clean bamboo process. And they just... Have you gotten them yet? Have you gotten your new Attitude pajamas?
I saw a package. I think
they watched them. Must have watched the show, and they like LA loves his sleep. George definitely getting him the pajamas, but no, these are the best sheets, and we haven't rocked the pajamas yet. We will. George will on the show, but these are the best sheets I've ever slept on.
Okay, so I'm putting them on my bed. Hopefully, I get some better sleep.
Right, and they have this technology called Clean Bamboo, which, by the way, has over 15,000 5-star reviews on the internet. 17% better at regulating body temperature, 24% more moisture wicking. Clean Bamboo does not use any harmful chemicals in the growing or manufacturing process and saves 99% of the water and 38% of the carbon emissions. I'm telling you, as two ladies, they're super, super impressive. They're onto something here. You want to have a great night of sleep, get you some Attitude sheets. Don't forget, you can get 20% off plus free shipping for a limited time when you visit Attitude, and let me just spell it for you, Ettitude, a little bit like attitude, attitude.com/themove. That's attitude.com/themove, and 20% off.
I love it.
Geez, like, where are my sheets?
Today, as soon as I get back.
Well, tomorrow is La Planche de Belfi. We've seen this a couple times in recent years.
Yeah.
The women are going to do it too, by the way.
That's correct. That's right. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But yeah, that's...
we'll go ahead and take a look at this course for those of you watching on YouTube or Facebook.
Fairly uneventful day. A couple Category 3 climbs in the middle. Let's see here. Col de Croix. But and this is also not an entire 176 kilometers in this day and age. They consider this a little longer.
Absolutely.
But the final climb is a beast, and they've of course extended it from the days that we used to go up. It has a bit of a gravel section at the end.
To your point earlier, there's opportunities to attack earlier.
Well, you saw it today. They went from kilometer 0 on the longest stage of the Tour de France, 220 kilometers today. They don't care. The amount of energy they're putting out to make these breakaways is just incredible. And we're going to see, I think, a very similar situation tomorrow morning at the start. It'll just be interesting to see who makes that breakaway because it's got a real shot at making it, I think. These two Category 3 climbs before Planche de Belfi, they're just not hard enough. They're both 3 kilometers at 6%. That's not tough enough. I'm talking about the days where early in the stage you've got a 10K climb that's 8%, right? And where you can really send it and then bomb the downhill. So this is not going to stress. I don't think this stage stresses out UAE. Well, it really depends on which climber teams, like let's say France de Joux with Goudon or Pinot, or if they wake up in the morning and they have a clear goal, I want to win the stage, then we'll see some collaboration with UAE and perhaps France de Joux or a team like that going for the stage win. Or a lot of the teams might just be, you know what, these guys are so strong right now, let's let them control it. And if it comes down to, the last 50 kilometers where we're still within 3 minutes, then we'll help out. So it could go either way, but I feel like the breakaway most likely will make it tomorrow.
I totally disagree.
Oh, so you think
Planche de Belfi is too hard? I mean, you'd have to have it's steep, and the guys are tired. I think it all starts to add up now. I don't think.
Well, we're going
to find out. Yeah,
we're going to see some climbers that have lost a lot of time up till now,
right? That
are going to be going for it. The Pinots, we can go down the list, but those are the guys that will try to make the breakaway, and we'll have a good shot at making it at the end. But if you're right, if Pogacar has, wakes up and said, I want to go for the stage win, there ain't no breakaway going to make it.
What? How come it says on the note board up here, it says George has a surprise for Lance? Was that the Michael Matthews tidbit from Matt White?
I forgot what it was, but it was something.
It was that good.
Pop up with it.
It was that good. It was, guys and gals. I had such
no, you know what it might have been?
I think zinger for LA, and
it wasn't a zinger.
It was so good, I forgot it.
It wasn't a zinger. It was the fact that you were saying, UAE hasn't been looking great, and I feel like they've made it past what could have been their worst possible scenario this first week without Trenton, without some of their guys not at their best. Pogacar mainly on his own. And I feel like from here on out, now they're hitting their terrain, and we should start seeing a lot more of the whole team at the front.
Well, we're about to find out.
Well, let me remind you, Pogacar did it with a weak team 2 years ago.
That's true. That's true.
He doesn't.
No, that's the asterisk in the whole equation. The kid is so dominant. You can't have a bad day. You can't have any bad luck, really bad luck. You can't make a huge mistake, but he can manage around a lot of this himself.
And he's got obviously crazy recovery skills. So after yesterday's performance and being there today and going for the stage win, I mean, nothing can so far has harmed this kid.
All right, little update on Bikes for Kids Uvalde. And if you're just tuning into the show for the first time for this tour, of course, there was the mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, our listeners, very, very generous. We're moving along pretty good. The new total, the amount we're raising is $215,000. That's going to buy well over 700 bikes for all the kids in that elementary school. We are just tipped over $60,000 so far.
And yesterday was 40,000.
Yeah, it's a good jump.
Well, I can do the math on how this is going. But forget my math. Just a real deep thanks to everybody that's kicking in. I was sitting laying in bed watching the news last night. It's still on TV. Of course, they're covering and investigating a lot of the things around the response, but it's still top of mind for certainly people here in this country and people all over the world. So we really appreciate it.
$275 buys an entire bike and helmet for a kid in this community. A few shout outs real quick of people who bought a bike or more. Wade Anderson, Kenneth Davis, Theodore Parfait, Lindsay Sellers, thank you. Stephen Neisch, Darren and Jennifer Wrench, Raha Dodala. I hope I didn't butcher your name. Maria Lee, Rick Call, thank you very, very much.
Very much.
If you go to wedo.team, you'll find the link to donate, and we do have also have a PayPal donation option for anyone overseas. It works better that way. Okay, cool. And a few emails here real quick. We actually have video for this first email from Rob. It said, not sure if you guys heard about the Daniel Oss crash. Again, some spectator involved in one of the cobbles. These two spectators were looking away from the oncoming riders.
And I did notice he didn't start today, so this must be the reason why.
Mm-hmm. It's
God,
Jesus! I mean, look. The problem, you could show thousands of these clips every day. The chance that you're bringing new people to the race, or people that don't watch social media or podcasts or TV coverage. And it's so foreign to them that this will continue to happen. I mean, the alternative is just to barricade the whole thing off, which doesn't always work. But
yeah, it's a bummer to see Daniel Oss. He's actually a fan of the show. He's a fan of us.
Listener,
great guy. He's kind of like, they call him the rock star of the bunch. We're gonna miss him in this race for sure.
He's still got that hair.
He's still got the hair.
Man, that boy had some hair. I mean,
oh yeah.
He ain't no spring chicken either. I raced with Daniel Oss. But
he is a great guy, super experienced. Peter Sagan's right-hand man. He's brought them all up to all the different teams he's been on. So it's a big blow for that team.
Yeah.
And I know we talked a lot about Wout Van Aert today, but I think this is worth bringing up again because we're inundated with questions about him as a GC guy. All right. So Jeffrey writes, Lance and George, what would it take for Wout Van Aert to become a Tour de France overall contender? Shout out to my cycling hero, George. That's from Jeffrey in Raleigh down near me.
So thank you, Jeffrey.
Did he vote for on the feed contest? Everybody that votes on the feed contest gets a free bottle. But and we got new bottles.
Ooh, and I'm still down. I haven't even closed the gap.
So looky here. I got a new bottle today. Can Captain Cranky. That was me right there. And
I got mine. Don't be a panic cooking, which we said today that breakaway was not a panic cooking breakaway. So vote for me, y'all. Come on, please.
So back to Wout. Look at last year. He won a mountain stage, a sprint stage, and a time trial.
Yeah, but we also had this debate last year / conversation. You could argue that if he just totally focused on a Grand Tour, called the Tour de France, that he could. Now, he can. He could be top 3. He can't be Pogacar. It's not that explosive. Pogacar time trials too well.
And we haven't. Of course, he won Mount Ventoux, which is about the hardest climb you can do, but we haven't seen him go head to head with the Pogacars or the Roglics on those hour-long super steep climbs.
And he's so good in all the other things. Like if you want to get a bigger contract, if you want to get outside endorsement deals, he is such a big star in the sport. He doesn't need to win a Grand Tour. He can go win cyclocross in the winter, medal at the Olympics, win a couple classics, do what he's doing at the Tour, see you at the World Championships. That's just as big as he's that dominant in everything else.
Yep.
He has different personal objectives. And he's already accomplished a lot for this tour.
Yeah.
Another one here real quick, and it says, "Good day, fellas." They actually write it out, "Good day," just like we write y'all.
Good day. Good day, digga.
It says, "I know Lance has been banging out his preference for shorter, more action-packed stages after the hectic 157-kilometer day across the cobbles, followed up by the longest stage, 220K. I wonder what y'all think as viewers and as former racers. With viewers' shorter attention spans and people's time being limited these days, is this the future of Grand Tours, or will the endurance element always be paramount?" That's from Dangles in Melbourne.
Dangles. I've never met a Dangles. Dangles, nice to meet you. Good day. Look, my view is any sporting event that's 3, 4, 5 hours long in the future and again, having 5 kids and know how they consume content and know what attention spans are doing as we move on into the future, anything 3, 4, 5 hours is in trouble. They're going to have to find ways to spice it up and slice it up so that the younger generation can get it in snippets. The old days, they sat in front of the TV and watched a 5-hour bike. Nobody will ever, ever, ever do that in the future. Now, that's not to say that the tour should all of a sudden start having 30-minute stages, but the way the content is put together and presented is going to have to be way more dynamic for this younger generation, for sure.
I think the Tour de France is the ultimate endurance sport. So for them to change that in any way because of viewership would I feel be a knock on the sport. So I think it's staying.
It's not, that will always be an option.
Yeah.
Right. Watching the 5 hours in front of the TV in France or even here on NBC will always be an option. It just won't get that many people watching it. It's the way that it's bundled up and packaged and presented after the fact that will get the younger audience. And you can imagine they want all the dynamic stuff, throw in the crashes, throw in the whatever. But 14-year-old kids aren't going to sit around and watch a 5-hour bike race. No way.
All right, one more here real quick for today. It says, there have been a couple recent articles in the French press about how noisy the Tour de France actually is. They say there are reports of ringing and buzzing in the ears almost every day from the riders. Among causes are fans yelling in the riders' ears, helicopters, motorcycles, even metallic noises from the bicycles in the peloton. Do you have any particular memory of noise being a problem for you or any other riders? And if it is a problem, what, if anything, do you do or could be done? That's from Richard in Los Angeles.
That's news to me. I haven't seen that.
There's no doubt. I still, part of my, sometimes my sleep pattern, I get this. Back in our day, it was 50K to go. You'd hear the helicopter, come up next to the peloton. And of course, you got the motorcycles honking the horn to get through, the fans yelling, the carbon wheels flowing. I mean, there's a lot going on. But at the same time, these riders are so focused on what they need to do, their task at hand, that a lot of those guys, it just doesn't really bother them. It might bother somebody.
I preferred the noise. I mean, I remember the uphill finishes when they would start to barricade them off with maybe 3K to go. before that, you had no barricades, nothing holding the people back. It was just millions of people, or hundreds of thousands of people. And it was so loud, so intense. You had the stadium feel and vibe. And then you got to the barricades. It was like, hey, how you guys doing? And it was like, dude,
you would have preferred it.
Get rid of these. Like, let's keep this shit crazy.
And
it got me a little worried though. I thought he was just like maybe talking about like this Havana syndrome that was happening at these embassies all around the world, where apparently I saw it on the news the other day. Actually, foreign terrorists or governments or whatever were targeting our embassy employees with this high pitched, high frequency sound that's really messing people up. But no, that's not what this is. I liked it. I liked the madness. And by the way, most of the stuff we were hearing wasn't very good.
Yeah, and it made you appreciate those rare moments where you were in the middle of nowhere in the country. The breakaway has been established. The pace has been sort of calmed down. You can chat with your buddy next to you and appreciate those quiet times a lot more.
And it may have come up in the press this year because we saw the crowds in Denmark.
That was so sweet what you just said.
I knew you were going to say you were probably talking to other teams and not me, but you didn't talk to anybody back in the day.
You're damn right I didn't.
TheMove@WeDo.team if you want to send an email.
Yep.
Keep them short. It's, there's a lot to go through. It's just a lot to read through. So we don't need the whole backstory. Try to get to the question. And also, if you want to donate to Uvalde Bikes for Kids, that's also at WeDo.team.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you all tomorrow. First mountain, spit it out, LA. First uphill finish, which apparently has a backstory. Maybe JB, George and I would not allow him to play this clip on.
It's on JB Squared.
It was on, but maybe you guys can replay it. George and I are too conservative to play that clip.
Or you can Google Planche De Belfi in the history of how it got its name. Johan told the story once, and it's not a pretty past.
No.
I'll just say that.
All right. Thanks for tuning in.